Am I overpaying for HubSpot? Really good question, and I wanted to make a video to explain how we go about answering this for our clients because it comes up so often. First of all, you're not alone in having this question. HubSpot pricing and plans are notoriously complex. There's a lot of pieces to it. It's which plan you're on, which level, which tier, what add-ons you have, how many seats you have, how many marketing contacts. There's a lot of elements that go into how much you're paying for HubSpot monthly. And it's also a really powerful tool. There's a lot of features involved, so it's hard to tell. It's not like in 1 minute you'll be able to get a complete snapshot. It usually takes some poking and digging and someone like us or another agency doing an audit of how you're using HubSpot. I wanted to make this video because there's this misconception out there that if your software prices are going up, it's a good sign. It means you're growing. Yes. In some ways, shapes, or form, that's true. Your $2 million a year business is obviously going to need more powerful tools to operate than your $1,000 a year business, right? There's some kind of upgrade that happens there, but it doesn't always mean that you're on the right plan, and it doesn't mean that you need to be paying a premium just because you're sitting at a higher revenue tier or a higher kind of complexity in your business. I'm Sarah Kapler. I'm founder and CEO of Centric Squared. We're a CRM consultancy and CRM-driven marketing agency. So we spend our days in HubSpot. We're partners with them for 6 years, and over the years we've advised a lot of clients on how to navigate HubSpot account and billing and how to tell if they're in the right plan. So the first thing we do for our clients is an audit where we go into their HubSpot and we take a look at what they're using, what plan they have versus what they're actually using of that plan. Things like the workflows, A/B testing, the segmentation, the reporting. HubSpot comes with a lot of features, different tiers to their plans. And depending on the tier, you have more features. And, we just do a simple audit, kind of a scorecard, if you will, just to take a tally of what's even being used. So that's a good place to start, is understanding how you're using HubSpot, what pieces you're using. It's not the entire answer, because after that exercise of what are you using, we ask the question, is that bringing in value? Is that useful to you as a business? There's a lot of businesses out there that might have 1 or 2 workflows set up from an agency 5 years ago. Is it firing? Is that landing page still even in existence? Is it leading to the conversations, the sales conversations you want it to? Is it giving returns, right? That's a separate question. So there's what you're using, and then is it still adding value? And oftentimes there's things that the business is using, but that are maybe dated or maybe disconnected from the existing processes and maybe not giving those returns, right? So that's a piece of the puzzle that's really important. The other question that we always ask is, do you have a HubSpot owner? Who's running HubSpot? It's a fancy tool. It can do a lot. I'm a big fan of HubSpot. It's powerful. It captures a lot of data, can give you a lot of insights, but it's also complex. And it takes someone who knows how to run it, how to use it, how to optimize it to get the most value out of it. If there's nobody in the team anymore that is playing that role, that has ownership of it, that can, run it, use all these features properly, then, that's a sign that you maybe are overpaying, maybe aren't in the right contract. Another thing that comes up a lot is volume. HubSpot is really built for scale. It's great when you need to set things on autopilot, when you have big numbers, you have a lot of traffic, you have big events, you have big lists. At really small volumes, sometimes all these extra bells and whistles don't make sense. We had a conversation with a business recently where after analyzing their HubSpot usage, they were using some workflows, but the volume was just not there. Like, instead of 100 new leads coming in a month, it was like 2 a year. And when the numbers are so low, it makes you think, okay, what's the cost of maintaining this big fancy automation versus the cost of reaching out to these two people manually, picking up the phone and having those sales conversations, right? And when you get to that volume question, sometimes you can easily spot a misfit between the software plan and kind of the business need. HubSpot has a couple elements to its billing. Obviously, they have tiers. Are you on a starter package, a professional package, enterprise package? But beyond that, they have two other elements. One is the seats. How many seats need access to the advanced features, let's say a professional sales plan? And so auditing the users and the seats usage can often be a really good indicator. Common mistake we see is, a lot of software has like user role and an admin role, and that's it, right? It's like all permissions or very basic permissions. HubSpot is a bit more complex than that. It will have advanced features, but it will have a separate type of permission for all the paid extra features. Managing automations, managing the workflows, doing some of the fancy reporting. And that's something where most businesses misunderstand and misassign seats, where they think, oh no, this person's senior or this person's important. I'm going to give them all the paid features, when really they should be saying, does this person need to run these reports or to update these workflows? Yes or no? And that can really help shave down the number of seats that are there. Of course, it goes without saying that there needs to be processes in place to kind of share some of the information and the insights from those paid seats, right? So it needs to be the right people in the right seats for that to work, but it's certainly possible to shift down and adjust the number of seats that you have and save on your HubSpot billing. And then there's marketing contacts. So I did a separate video on marketing contacts, but that can very quickly escalate and go up without realizing that it's going up, kind of get inflated. And oftentimes when we're looking at our clients' HubSpot accounts, we can kind of shave that down and reduce the number of marketing contacts to, in turn, reduce the total, bill amount. So am I overpaying for HubSpot? Maybe. There's really only one way to tell. It's to look closely and thoroughly at your account setup and your business and that setup, and kind of mapping the two together, getting both sides of the puzzle are really the only way you're going to come to that answer concretely. It's a tricky exercise to do. Not every business is savvy with the HubSpot side or can take the time to answer on the business side. But if you're able to do so yourself, fantastic. And obviously, if you need some support, reach out to an agency or somebody with HubSpot expertise. They can usually help you in a few hours or a small project to get that initial take on the situation. I think it's really smart to be assessing your software every few years and making sure it's still the right fit. What we see happen often is that customers will go for HubSpot, go for the professional plan because they have big plans and a big strategy, and then maybe they don't quite use all those features, develop all those features. They call us in a few years later to take a look, and it's like tumbleweeds in there, right? There's a lot of empty elements in HubSpot, things they could be using but haven't. And you don't want to be in a software that you're only using 10 to 20% of. You want to be in a software where you're using closer to 80, 90% of that. Nobody is going to use 100% of every feature and every plan. That's not realistic, but you want to be on the upper end of that to be getting the most value from the tool rather than, just kind of, I have a daughter who's 4, and I liken this to like her playing dress up in mommy's shoes, right? Like you can play dress up and have a HubSpot account that's, too big for your britches and it's cute. But at the end of the day, you can't walk around and you can't run and you can't play because it's not functional anymore, right? And so what happens is sometimes these tools can get too big, too clunky, and then they don't get used. So at the end of the day, HubSpot can be a great CRM. I always say the best CRM is the one that gets used, and I truly believe that that's the answer, is to set it up in a way that you will use it as a business and it will become a successful, prosperous tool for you.